us check. Oh, alright. Okay, I'm not gonna worry about that. Okay, let us check our stream health. We are live. Nice. Okay. Alright, that didn't quite work out according to plan. Okay, I'll just go to the music. Okay. Alright, music time. Here we go. Okay.
白岩学園3年 B 組の皆さん、こんにちは。
How's it going, guys? Alright. Well, hello. I was totally gonna have like a full-on topic ready to go tonight, but today actually completely just ended up being, I don't want to say a bust, but right now I'm in the middle of my editing project, which I have to say is going just swimmingly. So that's nice. And in the very near future, I should be in a position to be able to show it off, which will be neat. So in the very near future, I think I'm going to be able to do an IRL event, which I'm actually kind of excited about because I haven't done this in quite some time. So I know I've been talking about it a lot, but it's just exciting. That's really it. It's just exciting. That's it. That's the whole nine. There you go. Okay. I guess I'm in a good mood, and that's why I feel silly today, which is actually quite bizarre, because earlier today. I mean, okay, so I'll go in briefly into something serious, only because it's worth it. There is a guy that I know who is basically taking advantage of a different person that I know. And this guy that I know, he also assaulted still a third person that I know. So he's not a good guy. He's taking advantage of someone, and he assaulted someone. Very, very bad. Very bad. Now, the other two people, I don't think they understand the nature of the situation. I am convinced that this guy is he's on the spectrum of narcissism / psychopathy. I genuinely think this is the case. For the protection of all parties involved, obviously, I refuse to name anyone or give any indications, save for the fact that this one person that I think is a psychopath is a male. Now, the reason that I came to this conclusion is because he fits the model completely. He ticks the boxes. Listening to the guy, he has a tendency to make up reality as he goes along. He has a tendency to use word salad. When you're talking to the guy, you almost get the impression that he's just... Now, of course, I feel like an idiot because here I am. I'm gonna little, what is it? One of these streaming casts or whatever. So all I do is yammer. And I'm about to call this guy out for yammering, but he says less than me. I'm at least attempting to communicate ideas, as where this guy, he yammers with absolutely no point whatsoever. And so when you talk to the guy, if you only take him on a surface level, he actually appears very normal. But once you listen to the guy, he almost sounds as though he's just filling a void. He's just creating syllables because he knows that he has to create syllables in order to appear normal. It's very difficult to describe. It's not easy to describe. Now, the reason that I think that the guy is a psychopath is because the general pattern is pathological liar, lack of empathy. Typically they are leeches. Typically they are lazy, and they are manipulative, and they end up creating a net negative in their environment. And this guy, that is exactly what he does. I don't know I haven't heard him make claims in the vein of being a pathological liar. However, the guy is a leech. He is lazy, and he does manipulate people, and he does create a wake of badness behind him. So we're definitely dealing with, in my opinion, a formal actual psychopath. And so when this guy, when he assaulted someone that I know, I found myself very, very upset and very, very distraught. It's easy to go ahead and get angry at the guy and say, how dare you, sir, you need to apologize, so on and so forth. And I think that if you were dealing with a non-psychopath, I would think there would be an excellent argument for saying that is exactly the correct approach. Because fact of the matter is, a person who is not a psychopath, when they do something quite bad, like, for example, assault, yes, they should absolutely be told to stop and to apologize, because that is exactly what a normal person should do. Paul Bunyan. I'm referring to a person that I know. I don't want to disclose who the person is for a variety of reasons, because it's my opinion that when you call a person a psychopath, you are calling them non-human on a cognitive level, because it's my opinion that On a cognitive level, psychopaths are not human. They are subhuman. A person who has a fully functioning prefrontal cortex has the ability to perceive God, kindness, they have empathy, they have all the normal things that people have. They can have transcendent experiences and everything. They can appreciate art, and they like music. Typically, normal people have pets. Psychopaths rarely have pets unless it's for a purpose, unless there's a manipulation program behind having a pet. Outside of that, there's no reason for a psychopath ever to have a pet. And of course, this guy not only does he not have pets, he also despises dogs. And it's my opinion. Now, I'm saying this as a cat person. I am a cat person. I like cats. He despises dogs. And for me, that marks him as being questionable immediately. I just don't trust people that dislike animals. It's just, I can't explain why. I just don't trust those people. So, anyway, the point here is coming all the way back to the idea of the assault and how to deal with it. It's my opinion that you can't sit the guy down and tell him that he needs to behave himself and he needs to apologize, because he will not appreciate or understand what you would be saying to the guy, because he doesn't have the ability to feel empathy. And I know that the radical left, they make a big deal on empathy right now, and I find that to be a bit I don't like it, because empathy is a real thing and it is an important thing. But the radical left, they go way too far with it. They use it as a part of their manipulation program. Frame Game Radio would refer to, what is it, the empathy trap? It's possible for empathy to be used against you, especially for white people. At any rate, psychopaths don't have that. So when you tell them that when you tell a psychopath that the psychopath is causing people to suffer, they genuinely do not understand. So with this guy having assaulted someone, the approach and direction that is being explored right now is to create a police record. And the reason that you create a police record is because then, when later on, should the psychopath do something physically violent, something genuinely bad, I mean really bad, if you go to the police and if you say to the police, this guy is a really bad dude and he needs to be dealt with in a swift manner, the police will say, okay, that's fine, let's pull up his record. If there is no record of the guy committing assault previously, then when he does something truly bad and reprehensible, the police will say, yeah, but he has no record. So if you're dealing with a psychopath, I genuinely do think you ought to be thinking about creating a record. You ought to be thinking about just filing a police report. That doesn't mean that you need to press charges. You just file a police report. You just indicate to the police, look, the guy did actually assault me. So if he assaulted you, boom, file a police report. And next time he does it, file another police report. Next time he does it, file a police report, and maybe thinking about a restraining order, because if he's done it multiple times and there's a record of it, then when you file a restraining order, the police will say, oh, he's got a record. He's actually done this several times. Okay, we'll go ahead and take that into account. And then I think the police would be much more willing to go along with the restraining order. So when you're dealing with something as awful and reprehensible as a psychopath, I'm not kidding when I say this, be ready for the long haul, be ready for some bad news, and be ready to play the long game. And by the long game, I just mean create a record. Make sure that if you ever do have to deal with a guy in a very serious and harsh manner on a legal level, that you've got a record, you've got something that you can point to and say, look, this actually is a bad guy. So anyway, that's just that's the thought that was rather that's the main event that happened IRL to me today. So, no, I'm not being stalked. No, not at all. Thank God. The guy, this particular person who was a psychopath, he assaulted someone else, not me. Thankfully, no one is interested in me enough to formally stalk me, so I'm in the clear in that one regard. Let's see, there was something about there's a bunch of people doing periods, which is funny to me, and now I wonder to myself, what's that all about? Okay, let's see here. HIV positive transgender says, I know personality disorder people with pets. They only function as something very different to these weirdos. Oh yeah, personality disordered, rather a person with a mental disorder doesn't mean that they're going to not have a pet. I refer only to psychopaths. And by psychopaths, I'm specifically referring to people who have a prefrontal cortex that is non-functioning. That's really all I mean. They don't have a fully functioning amygdala, and they don't have a fully functioning prefrontal cortex, so they don't experience fear the way that we experience fear, and they don't have the ability to experience love, God, beauty, so on and so forth. So a psychopath is a very specific kind of mental disorder. As an example, a person who has, say, OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, that person will have, generally speaking, a fully functioning prefrontal cortex, and they probably have an overactive amygdala. And so a person like that, it's very easy for such a person to behave normally and to have a pet. I knew someone who had OCD, and yeah, she totally did have a pet. And outside of her OCD, she actually functioned overall pretty well. So it was yeah, it was pretty cool. Anyway, yeah, I'm really curious about these periods for some reason. It's very, yeah, period cult. Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and go period cult myself. Boom. I want to be a part of the group. Okay, I'm done. Anyway, I'm gonna check out the chat just for a minute, just for a moment. Let's see here, and Toast Stone says, but what if I am a good psycho like Dexter? I actually have problems with the television show Dexter because on a formal level, a psychopath is incapable of doing good things. They're incapable of, I mean, let me rephrase that. They are capable of doing good things, but typically only as a manipulation program, which means that the good may be observed by other people, by people who are not the psychopath, second party. But the psychopath, him or herself, will generally speaking be incapable of doing things that are truly good. I did a rough tally one time, and I realized that I had actually known at one point in my life a grand total of, I think it was 8 psychopaths. And the guy that I know now, that puts the tally up to 9. So that's a fair number of formal psychopaths that I've met in my lifetime. And yeah, the issue is that none of them really seemed to do good. They would do things that they thought would appear good, and they would do those apparently good things in an effort to curry favor, so that people would think of them as being nice, or so that people would think of them as being normal. But outside of the desire to appear normal or to be liked, they were never capable of doing good things just on their own, just to help someone. Unless, of course, it was from a narcissistic standpoint, so that they would feel like they're doing something good. But even then, it comes to a basic manipulation program. Rather, yeah, it still seems to come to a basic manipulation program, because they would be helping someone, and they would be attempting to get praise from the person that they are helping. So they would help in the most ostentatious and magnificent appearing way, specifically so that their target would shower them with praise. They're just terrible, terrible human beings, psychopaths. Anyway, Dexter, the conceit within the fiction of the Dexter program was that he was a psychopath who was raised by a father who commanded him to release his inner demons by killing other murderers. So a a murderer who kills other murderers. It makes for good television, I guess, but the problem is that it's utterly unrealistic. It does not match real psychopaths in any way. So I always had a problem with that television show. But that's just me. Anyway, psychopathically assault the like button. That's funny. Okay. Alright. Love it. Okay, it's cool. Alright. Let's see here. Let's keep... Oh, yeah. HIV positive transgender says Ellie must be loaded with those types. Given the whole chasing frame thing. Yes. Chasing fame thing. Yes, you are absolutely correct. There are a tremendous number of narcissists and formal psychopaths in Los Angeles, and it's my opinion, this is an opinion, it's my opinion that there is an overlap between narcissists and psychopaths. Narcissists, I view a narcissist as being sort of like a level 2 psychopath, maybe up to a level 3. They're capable of limited range of emotions, but fundamentally they are self-absorbed and uninterested in other people. Yeah, that's just the way that I see it. And I've known a fair number of people who have been in the movie industry. And of those people, thankfully, very few of them have been psychopaths, but I would swear that I've met a couple that actually were formal psychopaths. And within the people that I don't know directly, people that I know of, there are a couple of directors, and there are more than one producer that I've heard of that I genuinely think are in fact psychopaths. And it's important to remember, I think, that when I refer to a psychopath, I'm not referring to a person that is a murderer. I am not referring to someone that is going to or has actually, beaten someone or raped people or eaten people or what have you. I'm not referring to that. Most psychopaths, they really just get off on manipulating people. So they have a tendency to be completely self-absorbed, and they enjoy messing with people. They enjoy causing suffering of others. For some reason it gives them a rush, and I don't know why. I think of them as being emotional vampires. They're just reprehensible, absolutely reprehensible. And I don't regard them as being cognitively human for that very reason. Because taking pleasure in the pain and suffering of another is just inhuman, in my opinion. So anyway, yeah, there are a fair number, and I think that there's something about the movie business that attracts them, because you have a peculiar mix. You get power, you get fame, you get fortune. There are people that are willing to do things for you. They will become sycophantic, and they will fawn over you. I mean, it's weird, Harvey Weinstein, since I don't know the guy, and I think, yeah, he's rich, so it doesn't really matter. Like, he's got stuff going on, so I can go ahead and rag on the guy, and I doubt that it's, I don't like engaging in gossip. I don't have any stories about the guy, but the point is that something about ragging on people just reminds me of gossip. Henpecking. Anyway, yeah, people like Harvey Weinstein. Just think about the guy. What did he do? Oh, that's right. Actually, no, I do have like one or two stories about the guy, because I remember that I met a couple of people that were low-level executives in a couple of studios, and I remember they were making jokes to me about how you should never ever do business with the Weinstein Company because you would never get paid. And one of the jokes that they were mentioning was that the only person that could ever work for the Weinstein Company and get paid was Quentin Tarantino. This joke was made to me one time back in the early 2000s. I want to say 2003-ish, plus minus. So yeah, ever since the early 2000s, I've known that there was something not right about Harvey Weinstein or the Weinstein Company. You don't just refuse to pay people, and of course I'm referring to people who are like producers or whatever. They were talking about how they simply did not get paid. So refusal to pay when services have been rendered, that's the kind of thing that a psychopath would do. You know, get a person to work for them, take the credit, and then refuse to pay them. And yeah, what else did he do? Of course, there's all of the sexual exploits. Oh, there was one that I heard about. I can't recall the exact... I don't remember who this was, but it was something about how he was in a hotel room, and he had just come out of the shower, and so he only had on a bath towel, and there was some kind of a starlet that was in the hotel room with him, and he tried to force himself on her, and he started chasing her around the hotel room, and she ran away from him. And Harvey Weinstein, he did something to the effect of he fell down and he started crying, and he said, "It's because I'm fat, isn't it?" And the idea here is that he was putting the onus on her. The idea was that he was trying to create a situation in which he was trying to make it seem as though she was in the wrong for refusing him, because she was judging him for being fat, using pity as a way of turning the narrative against his victim. This is classic gaslighting, and this is exactly what a psychopath will do. This is why I'm not a big fan of hanging out with people that I determine to likely be a psychopath. Once that happens, I tend to just cut off contact, because that's really the only thing that you can do. And if you do have to maintain contact with a psychopath for any reason, just make sure that it's purely business. You know, don't look them in the eye, don't engage with them too much, you know, just raw functional conversations. Oh, you have this to do. Oh, I have that to do. Okay, now that we're done, I'm leaving. Goodbye. And that's it. That's the only interaction that you should have with a person that's a psychopath, once you determine that they are in fact a psychopath. At any rate, let's continue down. Eke says, Sin says, Eke, you have to do an audiobook recording of Culture of Critique. Okay. Well, first I have to get a copy of the book. I have yet to read the book. It's probably a good book, though. I keep hearing about it. I think I have a PDF. Maybe I'll take a look at it sometime. Oh, that's right. I wanted to do that thing where I was going to read a little bit of Nietzsche. Maybe I'll read a little bit of Nietzsche. I'm gonna play some music after I go ahead and read some Nietzsche. And the idea is going to be that we can go ahead and we can think on what the little Nietzsche quote was while we listen to some music. That sounds nice. That sounds neat. Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and play, or rather, get a poem ready, and I think I'm going to do just a tiny little poem, just a little tiny one. Okay, I just happened to open up on my favorite Nietzsche poem, so I'm going to say my favorite Nietzsche poem, and then after that I'm going to go ahead and play some music. So let's see here, what am I going to play? No, we're not going to do that. We're going to settle down. No, stop it. Okay, there we are. Alright. Okay, so I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to play, but we're going to make it be something. I'm probably going to play just one of my longer tracks, because I'm actually a little bit hungry, and I think I want to get some cookies and a banana, so that's going to be the deal. Okay, here's my favorite Nietzsche poem. This is out of Die Fröhliche Wissenschaft, which translated is The Gay Science. That's right, I have an entire book devoted to that. And this is poem number 14, and the title of this poem is The Good Man. I love this poem. It's only 2 lines long. Okay, here we go. The Good Man. Better a wholehearted feud than a friendship that is glued. I love it. I love it. That's brilliant. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and play. I think I'm going to play one of the one of the longer ones. I was going to play a few tracks, but several tracks, but I think I'm only going to do a single run of my favorite triple of Esprit. So that's what I'm going to do. So these are 3 of my favorite tracks by Esprit, and this is off of his album 200% Electronica. Yes, I've played this this run before, but I just happen to like it. I just think it's a really pleasant series of tracks. So here we go. While I go and fetch myself some peanut butter and cookies and a banana, let's go ahead and listen to some fancy dancy music. Okay, guys. I did adjust the audio levels, so it should be fine. On 0, rest in peace, eardrums. In 3, 2, 1. There's actually no fade out, and there's no like ending to that track. It literally just stops. Like, it just ends. It's the weirdest thing. So it's a little abrupt, but that's how the track ends. At any rate, oh, here, let's move back over to the main image. Boom, there we are. Okay. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I gotta render more tracks. I gotta pull out more music, because I was looking at all of the music that I've got, and so much of it, like I've played like a bunch of times. I've got to get over to new music. So I'm gonna go ahead and start pulling apart some of my albums that I have, so that I can go ahead and start playing some more music. So that'll be nice. That'll be a fun thing to do. Who knows? Maybe I'll actually go ahead and, well, yeah, I guess that's a different thing entirely. For tonight, I'm going to go ahead and keep the stream kind of short. I'm going to keep it to 1 hour, because I genuinely have got to make sure that my rest is up. The project that I'm working on is truly just taking up all of my mental energy right now, and I have to make it. I just have to get it done for personal reasons. Let's see here. Just looking at the time scale. Yeah, for personal reasons, I want to go ahead and try to make it happen within the next couple of weeks, because the album that my project is based on is Perturbator's album A New Model. And that album was released in September of 2017, and I don't think I'd be able to live with myself releasing my edit a year after the album was released, and I feel silly because I've been sitting on this edit ever since like November of last year. So basically, I heard the album, I fell in love with it instantly, and then I did an edit to it basically immediately. And because of health reasons, I had to take a hiatus on it, and only now am I really able to kind of hunker down and really get back to work, back to business, so to speak. And yeah, I want to make sure that I have the whole thing out and done, so that it's only been 11 months instead of 12 months. I can't explain why, but just psychologically, I have to make that happen. So anyway, in order to do that, yeah, coming all the way back, I have to make sure that I get decent sleep. And yeah, just generally, oh my gosh, I just realized I didn't do any exercise today. The heat wave has been so bad that I didn't do any exercise. That in combination with last night, the stream was 2 hours long or something, like 2 hours and change. And then anytime I do that, I always seem to stay up for another like hour or whatever. It just ruins the sleep schedule, absolutely tears it apart. One of the things that I genuinely think is important for people who are trying to get things done, I really think that rest is overlooked. I genuinely think that getting proper sleep is something that people don't really think about enough. Of course, it's very easy to accuse a person of being lazy, obviously, but the point here is that if you're in an excited state for too long, it'll fatigue you, and when you are sort of down from that excited state because you've spent so much time in it, you tend to go immediately into hard rest, and it's just not healthy. It's not good. You need to have that resting state. You need to have that downtime. So I think that yeah, I have to like cool off on certain things. I note that myself, I can get obsessive. It's easy for me to go into my own little quasi K-hole, where I get so, yeah, that's right, because I remember one time back when I was re-editing the movie Aliens like a million years ago, I did the entire, once I designed the set list and set myself to re-editing the movie, I realized that the easiest thing to do would be to go track for track and then modularly edit each track individually. And I've been using that that schematic ever since. So when I'm re-rendering, or rather when I'm re-editing the movie that I'm using to Perturbator, I just assign one section of the movie to one track, and then you re-edit that that track basically as being a music video. And there were some tracks where it was very easy, and it took almost no time whatsoever. I was able to simply almost like throw the footage into the editing bay and just make it happen, and it was totally fine. It was not a problem in the least. And then there were others where it just took me forever. Like I would have an idea, it would turn out like crap, and then I would have to rethink the entire thing. And there was one track that actually took me 2 weeks to edit. And I was so depressed because I ended up having to skip over that track and go on to the next track so that I could just continue working in general. So I put it on hold for I don't know how long, and then just out of nowhere I came up with a good idea, and then it happened. But anyway, the thing is that going through the pattern of editing, sometimes I would get so obsessive and so into it that I would actually edit for literally like 8 to 10 to sometimes 14 hours a day, just straight through. And at one point, I noticed that I was starting to get what I referred to as editor's eye. And the idea is that when you are staring at a computer screen, you don't blink as much. And that lack of blinking would actually dry out my eyes, and they would get bloodshot to the point where it looked like someone had smacked me in the eyes, because I had like red where it should have been white. This is extraordinarily bad. And this is what I mean by sometimes, you know, when you get into a project, you can go a little bit far. So yeah, anyway, I think that if we're going to, whatever we're going to do, I think that we should make sure that we balance between work and rest, so that we don't overexert ourselves and then create a situation where we're fatigued to the point where we are unable to function for extended periods of time. So anyway, that's just a thing. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and look at the chat real quick. Charlene says, man, Esprit was the shit back in 2013. Yes, he was. Absolutely. Sadly, though, I only discovered Esprit in 2015, I want to say. So I was a little late to the game in terms of vaporwave, which is funny because I learned about vaporwave from a hipster, from this hipster chick, and she told me about it, and she was into all sorts of weird stuff, whatever, anyway. But she stumbled upon it, and it's the last great musical discovery that I stumbled on. So I don't know what's coming after vaporwave, but whatever. Anyway, yeah, he was great back in 2013, and I caught him well after the big craze had happened. It's too bad. Okay, let's continue down. Is there anything going on up above? I don't see much at the moment. Okay, Jakey Jake says it's a similar type of worldview that I hate. I honestly sense it. Duvid was the same way. The same narcissism of his view of chosen people is the same one that leads him to accept K-Mac. There's like an entire thing. Okay, well that's. I'll look at the chat later on. I don't think it'll take me forever. Take me forever to go through it. And no, Julian, it's not a humble brag about Aryan willpower. It's not a humble brag. It actually became like a major issue. It's a holdover from. I used to have problems with self-control with video games, so I'd play video games for just like awful amounts of time. And at one point I remember I played I'm pretty sure it was StarCraft. I started playing at night, and then like I did this like several nights in a row where I would go to bed at dawn So I would play StarCraft until dawn. Like, that's really unhealthy. Like, that's really, really bad. So no, for me, it's not a humble brag. For me, it's like, it's actually, it's a real issue that I genuinely have to be careful of. To this day, I'll get involved in one of my projects, whatever the project may be, to the point where I end up forgetting to like eat, and it's like, that's not good. So yeah, it's a two-edged sword. On the one hand, when I'm enjoying something that I'm doing, I find it very easy to do that thing to the exclusion of everything else. And it's not, sometimes it can be bad. That's really all I'm saying. Sometimes it can be bad. But whatever, anyway. Okay, let's continue down. Someone is saying something about Facebook. I don't know anything about Facebook. I got off of Facebook like in 2012 or something, and I've never looked back. In all honesty, I think that the closest I have come to getting back onto social media actually is these streams. These streams are the closest I've done to social media, though I guess Twitter does kind of count, because I am on Twitter. So I guess it does kind of count in a way. Okay, I didn't really think about that until just now. Okay, anyway, let's see. There's something else. Oh yeah, Facebook stock. Yeah, I heard about it. The Facebook stock. Yeah. I do know that there's like some crazy stuff going on with Zuckerberg and his weird decision making, but the impression that I get is that it's basically going the same pattern as all other things that are big news. They have a tremendous upswing, they plateau, and then there's the descent into meaninglessness and dissolution. Consider MySpace. MySpace was the big deal back in the mid-2000s, and then it just completely imploded the moment Facebook hit the scene. And the impression that I get is that there's nothing to replace Facebook right now. However, because Facebook is in general decline right now, I think that it's only a matter of time before someone throws together some kind of other social media program network thinger, and it just takes off, because Facebook is basically going the way of all other major companies. They get a little bit of power, it goes to the head, they abuse it, and then everyone abandons ship. So I view it as natural. Ooh, excuse me. All right. Okay, let's continue down. Let's see here. The Vicious. I would swear that I recognize the Vicious. Hey, the Vicious. How's it going, buddy? Yours is a handle that I haven't seen too many times, so I will assume for the moment that you're relatively new, or perhaps this is a new username and I've only just noticed. So that's possible too. I'm sorry to say that my memory is a little bit shot these days. Let's see here. The Vicious says, I had the whole bar woke on the JQ one night, except for a couple people who refused to awaken. They met me out back later. They were weak. Nah, they won technically, but the bar was on my side. Yeah, I would, well, hey, you know what, as far as I'm concerned, getting out there and just talking in general is probably a good thing. Personal opinion. Because conversations are so quickly shut down these days, it's almost a matter of duty to just get out there and just start talking about things, because the fact of the matter is there are some things that I'm right about, there's some things that I'm wrong about, and I think this goes for everyone. I think that everyone has the exact same issues where they're going to have weak spots, or they're going to have blind spots, or whatever. So I think it's a good thing to talk about whatever it is that's on your mind. Of course, some self-censorship. There's some things that you genuinely should not talk about. For example, gossip. I'm a big fan of doing everything I can to button my big fat lip whenever I'm about to go into gossip. Once in a blue moon, yes, I do move into gossip, and it's embarrassing every time because it's always a bad thing. But I fortunately, generally, I'm pretty good at avoiding gossip. But barring stuff like that, again, self-censorship being acceptable. You know, if you're censoring yourself, it's fine. It's when other people are censoring you that it's bad. But anyway, the idea is that when you talk about things, then you'll notice your blind spot. People will point out your blind spots. You will be forced to sharpen your edge. You'll be forced to hone your skills. You'll be forced to refine your arguments. And I think it's a good thing. So even if there's a disagreement between me and another person, I'm happy to engage, just as a general principle. You know, there are always going to be certain instances where, you know, a person, I've been in situations where I happen to like a person, and I'm like, well, we disagree on fundamental levels, but maybe I'm not going to go too hard into it because I still want to go ahead and like hang out with the person in general. There are instances where that does happen, but even with those people, I will do what I can to speak on things in such a way that we can engage and it's non-threatening, so that they don't feel attacked and whatnot. And with many of those people, many of the times that I've done that, I've had a pretty good time, even if there ends up being a fundamental disagreement at the end of the discourse. So I would say, yeah, man, just get out there and do it. And you know what? If the bar was on your side, the vicious, hey, man, cool. And you know what? If those people still ended up disagreeing, that's fine, because this is what you get to learn. You get to learn what it's like to play to an audience because of the bar, and you also get to learn on how it is that those two people, let's see here, they said they technically won. They were weak, but they technically won. Okay, that's fine. So you get to learn how you can exploit their weakness later on, and you can look at how they technically won, and maybe you could find a way to get around that technicality. Maybe there's a way that you can organize your thoughts in such a way that that technicality is muted or mitigated in some way. So yeah, man, just work it through, man. Work it through. Okay, let's continue down. Someone was asking about the magic key. Who asked that? Oh, John Harris asked, what's the magic key? I think for me, it's probably the GQ, the God question. I actually think it's the God question. I think that the big thing that we need to think about is the how we're going to organize our civilization, and I think that doing so along a much more fundamental structural line is the best way to go, and this is why I think of things like religion. But I do think that there's also something to be said for our racial in-group preference. There must be sort of a linking of the two in some way. Even if it's only a technical link, there must be a link, I think, somewhere at some point. But that's something that I haven't thought through. It's just an idea that's in my head that I know that I need to work on. Okay, Jakey Jake says that he is a gay Jedi, which is pretty cool. That means we're going to get, as Charlene says, rainbow lightsabers. I'm pretty excited about that. That's pretty rad. I want mine to be magenta or fuchsia. No, magenta. I think magenta is the right color. Let's continue down. The Vicious says, speaking of sleep, Eke, send me to sleep. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Good night, buddy. It looks like he has taken off. Okay, so I hope he has a good sleep, because getting a proper rest is absolutely the right thing to do. Okay, let's continue down. Oh gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay. Sorry, I lost track of the chat. I'm gonna pop out the chat. I know that I'm just about to call the stream in like 5 to 10 minutes, but I'm still gonna pop out the stream, just because there's a fair amount in here. Okay, where are we? There we are. Jakey Jake says, oh yeah, and Levi apparently is very into the pending death of Facebook, and I am also very keen on the pending death of Facebook. I've seen it do nothing but have a negative impact on many people's lives that I've personally known. Let's see here. HIV positive transgender also left Facebook in 2012. Right on, man. Right on. Heck yes. It's awesome. And OFY says Judea declares war on Facebook. Oh, really? Oh, I'm going to have to look into that. Okay. Let's see here. Levi says to OFU or OFY, no, this was a long time coming. Okay, fair enough. So there's some controversy with regards to what's going down. Okay. Here I am just commenting like on the chat. I can't believe it. It's so ridiculous. Okay, Jakey Jake says, have you ever been in a fist fight? You seem so nice that you wouldn't even get angry if honor was insulted. I did, actually. The first time I ever got into a formal fist fight, I had a book on Scottish mythology, and to this day I lament the loss of that book. Someone stole my book. This was back in the 2nd grade, I think. And I was so upset that I hit the guy in the nose, and I gave him a bloody nose, and I went to the principal's office. And from that day forward, I basically decided that I wasn't going to fight ever again, so I just stopped. Which had mixed results, because I ended up being, well, of course, I always had certain health conditions that precluded my ability to be physical, so I was never going to be a big guy. And my being a bit of a hermit added to that, so I was always lithe and pasty and kind of weak. So for some reason, when I was in the 2nd grade, I was able to give a guy a bloody nose. And then from that day forward, basically, swearing off physicality created a situation where, yeah, I became the nerd real fast. And yeah, I was in no more fist fights from that point on. I think I might have gotten into like a couple of scuffles, but nothing too impressive. Let's see here. The 92 riots. I remember a bunch of Mexican kids got really upset at me. They decided to chase me down and pummel me because I was one of 2 blonde kids at my school in Los Angeles. And I wouldn't count that as getting into a fist fight so much as just getting ganged up on. And I think was I in a fight in high school? Yeah, like I was almost in a fight in high school, but oh yeah, that's right. I did get into a fight with a couple of guys, and this was in high school, and I was in some kind of a weird mood on one particular day, and I did something that was very unlike me. I did get into a row with these 2 guys. Something about them, they just pushed my buttons in such a way that, oh my god, no, I did one time in junior high too. That's right. I threw a desk at someone, and I did the same thing in high school. I forgot about that. Yeah, apparently I went a little too far twice. No one was hurt, so it's okay. It wasn't a desk, that's right. In junior high, it was a chair, and I threw it across the room, and it only hit the chalkboard, so it missed the person by like 2 or 3 feet. And then in high school, these 2 guys, they pushed my button in such a way that I got super duper upset. And I did actually pick up a full desk, and I was about to throw it at them, but just as I picked it up, the teacher came in and yelled at me, "Eke, put that desk down." And then, I realized as he said that what a fool and a bad person I was being. Yeah, I went to the principal's office for that one for sure. I was in detention, as was the guy at whom I was going to throw the desk. Here's the peculiar thing. I actually befriended him. I befriended that guy in detention, strangely enough. So we ended up being pals for the rest of high school, which is kind of weird when you think about it. Yeah, it's weird. When you're a kid, you do the weirdest thing. You end up like hating people that you wouldn't normally hate for reasons that are beyond you, and then suddenly you find yourself okay with it. Really weird. Anyway, Sin says Eke was most likely horribly bullied and has decades of pent rage. Yeah, that's right. Just, it's all in me. That's what's going on. It's all in there. tightly wound up and wrapped up in there. So there you go. Okay, let's continue down and see where we are. Rumsey says some Hispanic family got kicked out of the baseball game I was at today for not having a ticket to the seat they were in, and they told security they were being targeted because they were brown. Oh, God, how lame. I have no sympathy for that. I have no sympathy at all. Okay, Paul Bunyan says, I tell you, Levi is a Gentile. I vouch for him. Same as Eke. Okay, that's fine. It's okay. That's cool. I'll take it. All right, let's continue down. Where are we? Oh, Jakey Jake had an at. Oh, there we are. Eke is the only voice I'd rather listen to over my own. Oh, gosh. Okay, that's fine. I'll take it. That's cool. Let's see here. Sin says, I was never on Facebook. Then I joined in 2017. Ooh, be careful, buddy. To try to stay in touch with some of my Wisconsin friends, then immediately abandoned it, but left it up for optics purposes. I could see it. I don't think that I formally took mine down. I probably should now that I think about it, because it's kind of lame that it's up there. So I'm going to go ahead and take it down. Okay, where are we? Incel Revolt. That's nice. Okay. Going down. Okay, yeah, I guess I'm actually going to go ahead and call the stream, because it is after midnight, and I think I need to just like get ready for freaking bedtime. Throwing a chair is stupid and childish, and it's not it's nothing to be proud of in the least. It's not good. Okay, let's continue. Let's see if there's anything else. No, I guess that's pretty much it. I guess that's it. Okay, cool. All right. Oh, yeah, let's see here. Julian Groiper asks, I'm curious what people thought of my accent, given that the Kiwi one is rare. Well, I liked it, but that's because I just happen to like fun-sounding accents that are unusual. So I'm a fan, but that's just me. Okay, so all of that said, I'm definitely going to call the stream now, because I am super duper tired, and I have got to get up so that I can go ahead and finish my, well, I guess I'm not going to be finishing my edit. I'm just going to be doing the last legs of it, but I have to make sure that it's proper. Got to make sure that it's proper. So here we are. What do we? Okay, yeah, that's right. All right. Coming back to the psychopath from earlier, I think that in general you should refrain from any kind of a physical engagement with a psychopath, because they are genuinely capable of things that you are not capable of doing. If you think that you can out filth them, if you think that you can out dirty game them, think again. They will do things that would never cross your mind. I have heard stories, horror stories, of the things that these people will do. So when I say don't engage them, I mean that. Don't engage them physically at all under any circumstances. Unless it's only in self-defense, then it's permissible. But at any rate, so yeah, with the idea of self-defense in mind, if you absolutely have to do something in self-defense, of course, there is the great equalizer that will ensure that you will be able to defend yourself, even if you are a lithe, tubby nerd like myself. And what are we talking about? The good old 1911, or a CZ75, or a Glock, depending on what state you live in. And what are the four rules of firearms safety? Rule number 1, treat every firearm like it's loaded. Rule number 2, never cover or sweep anything that you are not willing to destroy. Rule number 3, your finger stays off of the trigger until your sights are on target. And the fourth and final rule is, be aware of your target and what's beyond it. Safety first. Okay, let's check just one more time to see if there's any last, oh, here's a couple of ads. Okay. Paul Bunyan says, this was nice, man. I'm on CST, Country Standard Time. Okay. so I don't get to tune into these much. But good on you. Keep it up. Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Seriously, thanks for stopping by. I see you in the the other chats now and again. So it's nice to see a familiar, well, I guess not face, but handle, avatar. So yeah, hey, thanks for stopping by. Jakey Jake says, true, you just have to cut them out of your life, but even that is hard. Yeah, cutting out a psychopath from your life is genuinely difficult, for just reasons in general. Nigel Brown, oh hey, there's a face I haven't seen, or a name that I haven't seen too many times. Love this intro music, 80s awesomeness. Oh yeah, thanks, man. That's Esprit, Nigel Brown. I highly recommend Esprit. He's got some really, really good stuff. Oh, Nigel Brown took off. Oh, okay, fair enough. Too bad. Okay, anyway, let's see. It's continued down. But yeah, if you're going to deal with a psychopath, it can be hard, but it's possible. And again, disengagement, total disengagement is the way to go. Lit is into the CZ75. Heck yes, bro. Heck yes. Jakey Jake says, I think a 1911 ideal form should not be messed with. I only disagree, only in the sense that the 1911 platform has been improved upon clearly, and the most modern iteration of that would be pistols like the Glock, and I think that they are demonstrably superior. That said, I do have a soft spot for the 1911. Once I end up getting a disposable income, I will likely pick up a 1911 just because I like the way they look. And from an aesthetic standpoint, I actually like the CZ75 Compact overall the best. My personal favorite look is the CZ75 with a gold trigger and the brown the brown panels. Oh, what? Grip panels, yeah, that's my personal favorite look. I just happen to like that look. There's something about it that's just really pleasant. It's just really clean. I like it a lot. Okay, I guess it's about. Oh wait, no, there's one more at. This is how it starts. Of course, I'm saying don't change the 1911 if you're going to get a 1911 like standard size. It's the first gun I ever shot. Oh, nice, cool, yeah. I can dig that. I can totally dig that. That said, there are a couple of like 1911 pistols that are modeled after the 1911. I think Kimber has one that's basically a compact. It has like a 3.5 or a 4-inch barrel or something. So in essence, it's and it disassembles like a Glock. So you end up getting something like the back end of it. You know, it still has the palm safety, and it has the thumb safety that sweeps in the exact same position. It's got the beaver tail, but everything up front, it actually disassembles like a Glock. I actually kind of like that. I know it's cheating, and I get it. It's not a 1911. It's something else. I get it, but I kind of like it. But at any rate, yeah, I think it's called like their EMP or something like that. It's supposed to be like their carry pistol or whatever. But it's kind of weird because of that short barrel. It just doesn't have the same look as a traditional proper 1911. So it makes me think that I'd probably end up just getting a regular 1911 anyway. But whatever. Anyway. Okay. Yes, I am a noob. Yes, I am absolutely a noob when it comes to pistols. The only things that I know are basically the 4 rules, and that's about it. I had to learn everything about pistols on my own. That's just the way that it goes. Here in Los Angeles, we do not have a gun culture. I am the gun culture in my own little local area, and that's not a good thing. That's a bad thing, and I fully understand that. Anyway, okay. I absolutely have to call this stream because I know that it'll just continue on and it'll turn into a retarded case stream, and we can't do that right now because I'm supposed to be freaking doing my my rounds for getting to sleep. So there we are. Okay, guys, drink a glass of water, get some exercise. Remember to brush and floss your teeth. It's incredibly important that we do these things. And since I didn't do any exercise today yet, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I do a couple of push-ups before I go to bed. That way, no matter what happens, I've got the ability to say, hey, I just did my push-ups. So there we go. At any rate, I'm going to call the stream. And so there we are. Okay. Rest in peace, eardrums. In 3, 2, 1.